Hello and welcome to our channel where we discuss personal finance and everything related to it. Today, we're going to talk about the difference between fixed and variable expenses. Understanding the difference between these two types of expenses is crucial to creating a budget and managing your finances effectively. Fixed expenses are those that remain the same every month. These are expenses that you have to pay, no matter what, and include items such as rent or mortgage payments, car payments, and insurance premiums. Fixed expenses are typically non-negotiable and are often considered necessary expenses. They are also typically easier to budget for because you know exactly how much you have to pay each month. On the other hand, variable expenses are those that can fluctuate from month to month. These expenses can be essential or discretionary, but they're not as consistent as fixed expenses. Examples of variable expenses include groceries, entertainment, clothing, and utility bills such as electricity and water bills. These expenses can vary depending on your usage and lifestyle choices, and therefore, can be harder to budget for. One way to distinguish between fixed and variable expenses is to think about how easy or difficult it is to change them. Fixed expenses are often more challenging to adjust because they are set by external factors, such as a mortgage lender or a car loan agreement. In contrast, variable expenses can be adjusted more easily because they're under your control. Another important factor to consider is the impact of each type of expense on your overall budget. Fixed expenses tend to take up a larger portion of your budget, and you may not be able to reduce them easily. In contrast, variable expenses, while smaller, can add up over time, particularly if you're not tracking them carefully. It's essential to consider both fixed and variable expenses when creating a budget. A budget is a plan for how you're going to spend your money, and it should take into account both types of expenses. When creating a budget, you'll want to prioritize fixed expenses first and then allocate the remaining funds to your variable expenses. By doing this, you'll be better able to control your spending and save for your long-term financial goals. One way to manage your variable expenses is by tracking them carefully. This means keeping a record of how much you're spending on each variable expense and identifying areas where you can cut back. For example, you may be spending more on dining out than you realize, and by reducing this expense, you can save more money for your long-term financial goals. When it comes to fixed expenses, it's essential to understand that while they may be non-negotiable, you may still be able to reduce them over time. For example, you may be able to refinance your mortgage or car loan to lower your monthly payments. It's also important to review your insurance policies periodically to ensure that you're not overpaying for coverage. It's also important to consider the impact of both fixed and variable expenses on your long-term financial goals. Fixed expenses, such as a mortgage or car payment, can limit your ability to save for retirement or other long-term goals. On the other hand, variable expenses, while smaller, can add up over time and reduce your ability to save. It's important to strike a balance between the two and make sure that you're allocating your funds in a way that supports your long-term financial goals. In conclusion, understanding the difference between fixed and variable expenses is crucial to creating a budget and managing your finances effectively. While fixed expenses are non-negotiable and often larger, variable expenses are under your control and can add up over time. By tracking your variable expenses carefully and finding ways to reduce your fixed expenses over time, you can create a budget that supports your long-term financial goals. Thank you for watching.